Hello everyone, this is Doma Fox, and I'm doing a special type of video for you today. I am not just only doing a drawing video, I'm also going to add my own commentary, sort of like a journal, so you can actually hear my thoughts in the process of going through these artworks, as well as give a little background behind it there. Today is January 25th, 2017, and it's my birthday today, so happy birthday to me. And I figure I'd do something a bit special because, in a way to commemorate my ability as an artist right now, I decided to do one of my favorite scenes from my original comic series that I tried working on called the Doma series. And here's how it all begins, because I'll go ahead and give a little background behind the Doma series itself. Back in 1996, around February, my family moved up from Colorado in the Arvada, Denver area to northern Idaho, and by the time we moved up here, it was a drastic change, of course, from what we were normally used to living in the Colorado lifestyle. Back then, we of course had cable, we rode on our bikes or walked to the nearest places that we wanted to go to most of the time, so we didn't have to drive all the time to get anywhere, because of course Denver was a big city and Arvada was like its companion city at the time. And once we moved up to Idaho, that was a big difference. I mean, we lived out next to a lake, we were out in the countryside, and there weren't too many places to go to, so you had to drive in town to get to where you wanted to go. We couldn't get any sort of cable or satellite at the time there because we couldn't afford it yet. So we were stuck to dealing with all the network stations that we had at the time. And of course back then, all our family had for video games, of course, were the Game Boy and the regular Nintendo. We couldn't afford a Super Nintendo at the time because we mostly played it at our friend's place. And at this point here, I of course just pretty much daydreamed a lot. Just went to my own considerable thinking of what I wanted to do. I played with paper dolls a lot, and I still have a lot of them. So I daydreamed a lot, and I made some special stories based on like popular cartoons I used to watch at the time. Had like my own character involved in it in some way possible, and by the time a show called Saban's Adventures of Oliver Twist came about, I fell in love with the show so much that I just completely made it an original series around it. My character, of course, was a full human at the time. He had his own raccoon by his side, and the inspiration for raccoons, of course, were because they were the first animals that I enjoyed watching when I moved up to Idaho, because we would see them by our back door each time and give them food to watch them eat, and they were just fun. So the character's name was, of course, Rob, being short for my original first name being Robert, and I decided to make his last name Adam, which was my middle name as well. And he, of course, spent his time traveling to various dimensions, and he had his raccoon by his side, and they had special equipment on them there that would turn them into like Maverick Hunters from the Mega Man X series, and that was the original origins of how that story came about. The change came when a video game for the Nintendo 64 came out called Star Fox 64, and at this point here, I got a Nintendo Power subscription from my grandpa for a previous birthday back in '97, and for my subscription I actually got a promotional video from Nintendo Power about Star Fox 64. And what I ended up loving most about the game was, of course, the voice acting and the story behind Fox McCloud in this version of the game. After playing it so much, it took me to fan communities, and I read their fan fictions that they had available at the time. Some of the greatest works you could ever read from, because it was emotionally captivating and it completely caught my attention. So once Star Fox 64 became a huge part of my creativity, I decided to change up the story from going to a human to a hybrid. Because I was getting so enthralled with foxes, I decided to make my character a hybrid, a human and a fox. Given the fact that I also enjoyed times with twin brothers during my childhood, I decided to give him a twin, and his twin brother's name is Ken. The inspiration for Ken, of course, was from the Street Fighter series, because Ryu and Ken were like twin clones of each other there in the games, so why not just make ourselves a variation called Ken? And I also loved the name Ken a lot. The two brothers were made, And this one was a bit different because I decided to include the fictional worlds, of course, of the Star Fox world, the Sonic world, the other various worlds that were popular during that time, and make it just a complete crossover fan fiction. And within that fan fiction itself, I made like a final saga. And that final saga became the driving point for where the Doma series is right now. And the Doma series took a dramatic change once I started to get into drawing. When I entered college, I took some graphic design courses as extra credit classes there, and I decided to look more into the program itself because I loved messing around with Photoshop. I loved everything about editing pictures on those programs. And when I looked up the requirements for graphic design courses itself, their drawing was a requirement. And I never knew how to draw. So I took the drawing class in the nighttime, and I loved it. I loved everything about the drawing class. I loved my teacher a lot because she had some of the best teaching guides ever for me because I had no idea how to do this. And I surprised myself that I could actually do it. And even my mom was surprised because I was never adaptive to trying to do any sort of art classes during my homeschool years. It wasn't until then I decided to go into it and take up some more drawing courses. It was at this point here where I decided it was time to draw my characters that I had created so long ago from '96 to 2004. What changed it again? I did not know how to draw anthropomorphic characters at all. So I went to furry artist boards and various art sites to learn how to draw. And as you can see here, some of my first creations were not that great at all. But I met some of the greatest people in this whole process here, and they helped me out to improve on this. I came across one of the sites called Foxwoods, and he created his own original series sort of based around like the medieval times of knights, mercenaries, and exploration, similar to your typical fantasy world. And I decided this was probably the best direction to go to. No more crossovers, no more futuristic settings. I wanted to go back to basics, like the days of exploration. And that's how I created the Doma series. In the Doma series itself there, I made it into 3 different sagas. The one I'm currently drawing on the video for you is from the first book. The overall gist of what the story was about was the main character named Rob Adam, who was a full-bred silver fox. No longer a human hybrid, no longer human, just a full-on silver fox. And he was living his life like normal, spending time with his family and all that, until a rogue invasion to their hometown completely changed all that there, where his mother was killed and his brother was kidnapped. Rob then took it on himself to go on a big journey to try to and find his twin brother again. And during his travels, he meets up with a wolf mercenary named Lupin Leolis. And Lupin here was in a search of his own as well, because his best friend, who was a prince of another nation known as Kintari, was reported missing after his father was assassinated, and his chancellor then took over as leading ruler of the whole nation for now. So Lupin took it on himself to go find his best friend, and their journeys merge in together here, where Lupin encounters Rob, and the rogues go after Rob again here, but Lupin defends him and starts to train him to become a mercenary. And their journeys take him across the various nations. Some of them aren't explored as well, and they also encounter Rob's and Lupin's companions over time, and expands over into a free story course. The scene I'm drawing in the video is pretty much one of the first ever artworks I ever did of the Doma series. It is titled Emotional Moment, because in a way it was sort of like a self-reflection I had of myself at the time there, as I didn't have very much people to turn to, and I'm always having a hard time just conveying my emotions to anyone, because I always just keep them to myself. So in the scene here that's being drawn, Rob encounters so many hardships and struggles of becoming a mercenary and feeling lonely because he's missing his brother so much, and it's just having hard times enduring the environment of being away from what he was used to, and he just breaks down emotionally. But Lupin was there for him. He was there to give him a chance. that was one of the best moments I remember creating ever. In not just artworks, but also an entire story that I was creating. And from what turned out to be a single scene, ended up becoming a 10-panel comic. And I even surprised myself that I actually made this on a level that high. So why hasn't this comic been made yet? I just haven't had enough confidence to actually follow through with it. And I was still fearing that my skills were just not ready yet, and it was a big undertaking to even make a single page. This whole project here took well over 6.5 hours to even film and record. From all the sketching, to the coloring, to the shading values, to everything that you see here being created in the video. And believe me, I still want to make this comic a reality here, but I just never had enough time or confidence to actually follow through with it. It's something I do want to make a reality at some point. I just have to find the best way to present it. So that's about all I can wrap up on this whole story here, and as you can see here, this whole project even surprised me to the point that I actually made this work out. So I thank everyone again for watching. If you liked the video, just go ahead and leave a likes button and subscribe, and then also if you want to see more of these here, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And I do have my own art website called domafox.deviantart.com. And thanks again for watching, everyone. Take care.